What's up, Team Tackle? This is Coach Matt. Welcome to today's edition of Morning Action. Consumer confidence shocked to the upside here today, posting the strongest reading in months after back-to-back disappointments. And when I say back-to-back disappointments, I'm talking about really since Walmart's report from 3 months ago. Consumers been a concern. That changes a little bit here today. We also got the OPEC and the Fed minutes later on today. Nvidia reporting after the bell. Gamestop jumping into Bitcoin, and OKTA delivers a clean beat and a raise. We call that the hat trick. And don't forget, later on tonight, yes, that is tonight, we are teaching the 7-step guide to trading webinar, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check it out. You can register in the link below. It's the live events page at Tackle Trading. And it's the first link right there. Hit the link, register, and come hang out with me tonight in the 7-step guide to trading webinar. Let's talk a little bit about that consumer confidence report, as we did see that come in. And it was not just a paltry beat here today. Came in at 98. Expectation was 87. And when you're looking at the consumer side of the equation, one of the concerns recently in the marketplace has been that of the consumer. We are not seeing that as of today in this month's consumer confidence report with a clean beat on consumer confidence. Now, the market didn't really see a jump on that report here today. And I want to talk a little bit about the technical condition of the market, because I think that's going to help you understand what we're seeing here technically. Now, remember, Nvidia later on tonight reports earnings. It's the number one catalyst event of the week by a mile in my estimation. Now, when you're looking at the S&P 500 here, you had a really good candle, confirmation candle off that bull flag, bullish retracement pattern that we wrote about in the newsletter this previous weekend. That got confirmed yesterday, and now you're coming in near that resistance level. And so now we're really talking about not a clean pivot at a support level. We're talking about a breakout at this point. And when you're talking about a breakout, holding support and breaking resistance are not the exact same thing. Holding support is a probable outcome. Breaking resistance not always is. A little bit more difficult there. And when you're talking about this 595 breakout level, which is where the level would be on the SPY, you really don't have a lot of resistance until you start working up into the all-time highs. So a pivot there at 595, but acting with some strength there because of the causation that you would see it really get up into the highs there. But when you're looking at the NASDAQ, you really see what's going on here today, because, again, NVIDIA is kind of that story. They report earnings later on tonight. And when you're talking about NVIDIA's earnings report later on tonight, if we go back to the Morning Action landing page here, when they report after the bell here today, the entire question is on guidance here today when it comes to NVIDIA. I wrote about this in the Tackle Trading newsletter this previous weekend when I talked about, can the AI king reignite the super cycle? The super cycle started in really kind of May of 23, and we've seen nothing but that revenue and that EPS just go up, 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 up. Forward-looking guidance go up, 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 up. But what we've also seen is a little bit of slowdown in that. When you were seeing at the very early beginning of the super cycle 2 years ago, EPS beats, revenue increases, guidance increases were just out of this world. 53% increase in guidance, 26%, 12%. Now we're dealing with 1%, 1%. So the ultimate question is, can they reignite that super cycle? That's going to be a guidance question later on today. And so you're seeing a little bit of hesitation in the market. And I think that hesitation is because the NASDAQ is sitting at a very clean and very important resistance level right at the 21,500 level. That resistance level opens up into the all-time high, very similar to the S&P 500. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the market at resistance, because, again, when you look at the consumer confidence report here today and the market's not really showing that giddy up and go, well, you're at resistance and you're in front of NVIDIA. Both those two are kind of gives you an understanding of why the market is hesitating a little bit at resistance. Good day for the market yesterday, though, no doubt about that. Let's talk a little bit about story number 2, as OPEC is going to meet later on today. And we also have the Fed minutes later on today as well. I'll talk about those in tomorrow's morning action. as we talk about Nvidia, OPEC, Fed minutes, a lot of news coming into the market over the next 24 hours. So stay tuned on that one. When you're looking at the commodity landscape going into the Fed minutes, when you're looking at the currency landscape, let's just kind of take a look at the dollar here. Dollar sitting at that support level, held that support level at 99. Now you're just looking at a little bit of short-term consolidation. I wouldn't really say this is a specific pattern on the dollar as of right this very second. You had that breakout, had the reversal. Now you're right back down into the range. I think we're dealing with a little bit of range bound here. And so dollar index holds support against 99. Not seeing a lot of anything here, just inside range from a dollar perspective. When you're looking at the commodity landscape with OPEC later on today, crude oil is still forming up a reversal. But over the last week and a half, ever since it did increase its pivot of support, you really haven't seen any giddy up and go yet. You've seen it kind of hesitate, hold that support level, but it has not broken out. Now, what has occurred is that 50-period moving average has now converged underneath the breakout channel at 64, which does give it a little bit of additional bump up if we do get that breakout of that 64 level. So keep an eye on crude oil after OPEC. 60 support level looks pretty decent, but again, this got to break out. Crude oil has not been a consistent asset class. We got to see that confirm on that breakout situation. When you're looking at some of the other commodities out there, such as gold, a little bit of a gap up here today, but stabilizing after that yesterday's down day. Dollar up, gold down. It's another day that ends in Y when it comes to dollar cross gold analysis in the market. And the last thing I want to talk about here is Ethereum. Ethereum's developing pretty decent right there, right around the 200-day moving average. Keep an eye on that 2750 level. That's a good breakout channel. Bitcoin showing a little bit of hesitation here today on a bull flag based pattern, as it does look to kind of hold firm against that 9 EMA. Let's talk a little bit about some stock news here today. As Gamestop officially does purchase some Bitcoin out there today, becoming one of those proxies for crypto analysis. There's only a few companies out there. Gamestop, you have obviously MicroStrategy, and then you have a couple others out there. GameStop officially gets into that action as they purchase 4,710 Bitcoins worth up to $512 million. OKTA also comes in with an earnings report that does officially come in with a hat trick. They beat on EPS, they beat on the revenue side of the equation, and a slight increase in guidance. Let's take a look at a couple of those stories from a technical perspective. When you are looking at OKTA here following their earnings report, OKTA, despite the beats, EPS pretty decent, revenue okay, guidance slight increase. All right, so they pulled off the hat trick. It was a slight one, but they did pull it off. Why are we done with the gap down? Well, lots of times when you go from 92 to 127 in a straight line going into earnings, it doesn't matter what they report. It's not all the time, but oftentimes when you are very overextended going into an earnings season, the bar is extremely high because people are going to lock in some profit on that earnings analysis, regardless of what they say, unless they can just come out here with just the absolute end all be all super cycle AI 53% increase in guidance type stuff. But that's obviously not what OKTA did. Slight beats everywhere, good report for the investors. But because the front running was very, very strong, probably a little bit of an alleviation event is happening with OKTA following their earnings report. And GameStop, from a technical perspective, after they officially do purchase their Bitcoin, buy the rumor, sell the news type scenario, you're seeing that here today, obviously, as when they expend all that money, it's going to have a short-term impact as GameStop tries to become a proxy for Bitcoin analysis. And that's all we got for the morning action here today. And don't forget, remember the 7-step guide to trading webinar later on today. I'm going to be talking about those 7 steps: finding trades, processing trades, putting in the orders, tracking them, managing them, A lot about this is the new traders understanding the process that traders go through in finding, executing, and journaling trades. Also going to talk a little bit about daily routine here tonight as well. We're going to have a lot of fun in the 7-Step Guide to Trading webinar that kicks off our virtual conference season during the 2025 virtual conference season for tackle trading. It's not the only webinar we're doing. Register for all of them. We're going to have a tremendous amount of fun, and you're going to learn a tremendous amount over the next 6 weeks. It starts tonight with the 7-Step Guide to Trading webinar with yours truly, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you there.